now. Tell me this. Do you think Steph can still lift this team and get them to the finals this season?
Yes, I do. And let me explain, Max, what I mean by that. I want to make sure I'm very clear. I'm not picking the Warriors to come out of the West because I've said it and I've been on the record and I've stated this many times. Steph Curry ain't winning the championship without Klay Thompson, and Klay Thompson ain't winning the championship without Steph Curry. I've said that on numerous occasions. They are the greatest shooting backcourt known to man. I am not engaging in hyperbole. I am not exaggerating. I challenge anybody with any kind of basketball knowledge to talk to me about NBA basketball, which started in 1946 and became the NBA in 1950, 70 years ago. I challenge anyone to show me a better shooting backcourt than Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They are the greatest in the history of basketball. And I challenge anybody to show me a greater shooter than Steph Curry. There is no one. No one. You might have better set shooters, but in terms of shooting, whether it's a set shot, it's off the dribble, from the right side, the left side, the wings, the key, it does not matter. This brother is the greatest shooter I've ever seen in my damn life. And when you consider that and you couple that with his movement without the basketball, and you combine that with the exceptional coaching of Steve Kerr and his staff and the unselfishness of players feeding off the leadership of Steph Curry, this is the kind of element, Max, that I don't think he gets enough appreciation for. If you watch guys, it can be guys like Draymond Green and others who are in the lineup for 30-plus minutes a night. Or it could be somebody who's coming off the bench, averaging 8 to 10 minutes. You see behind the head passes and stuff. Guys are open, but they know instinctually to give the ball to that man. When you know basketball, you understand that people have belief in their own individual abilities. I have never seen someone, a leader, generate the level of selflessness that Steph Curry generates from his teammates. They all know instinctually when it comes to shooting the ball, if that brother got an inch free, give it to him. His movement without the basketball, his sniper-like marksmanship, all of those things considered, combined with Wiseman, a rim protector that you picked with number 2 overall, being on the front court with Draymond, a Jordan Poole, others that you got, Kelly Oubre's a big pickup, stuff like that. I believe with Steph Curry, could they pull it off? Could they upset? Could they get to a conference finals? Hell yes. I got the Lakers as my favorites. I got the Clippers as the number 1 team to watch. But I do not sleep on any team with a healthy Steph Curry and weapons, not shooting weapons, but the other weapons around him. Man, I can't sleep on them, Max. I just can't do it.
Well, as usual, you make a very interesting point in a losing argument. Yep, Steph Curry is totally selfless, right? And by the way, the ball doesn't even stick with him. And that has an effect. I would say Magic Johnson was like that too, Stephen A. He was a guy who made his team selfless, like with his passing. Everyone knew they had to have their head on a swivel too, right? Had to be ready for everything. It's not going to make a difference in this season to get them to the finals. And here's the issue, and it's very simple. You don't need to have a great shooting team to get to the finals. You don't need that, even though in this day and age, of course, the greatest shooting backcourt ever is going to come from this era because shooting keeps getting better and better because it's emphasized more and more, right? And of course, it was Steph and Klay. That's uncontroversial. Everyone, I think, agrees with that. You don't need necessarily the greatest shooting backcourt ever, but you need to be able to shoot the ball. Tell me, other than Steph, who's the greatest shooter of all time, when you consider everything you just said, he's the greatest shooter of all time. I don't think it's particularly close, right? You talk about Ray Allen or even Klay or whoever else you want. Steph's doing it on the move with the handles. He's a mobile artillery unit, and he can do it from 35 feet. He kind of invented that. Tell me one other player on the Warriors who's going to get real minutes who shoots average for his position from deep. Average. Because Oubre is below average, Wiggins is below average, Draymond is below average, Pascal is below average, Wiseman is below average. You don't have a single other average three-point shooter because some of those dudes are way below average. Now, Steph's the greatest ever, but with that little shooting, you are never going to get to the NBA Finals. It's not going to happen even with Steph Curry.
Well, I'm certainly, again, not accusing them of going to the finals, but I think it's important that Understand, and I want to explain this, the difference between the selflessness that you brought up with Magic, a selflessness that's generated by LeBron compared to Steph Curry. See, LeBron feeds himself, and because he's so phenomenal, everyone knows to stand down. But he has the ball. He's the one creating mismatches. He's the one calling plays and audibles and things of that nature. Not to use a football analogy, but it's appropriate in this particular situation. Magic Johnson feeds other dudes, and because he fed other dudes, rather, all right, because he did that, he made them look good. So as a result, there's a level of selflessness that they didn't mind acquiescing to and capitulating to because they knew that they would stand the benefit as individuals. Their numbers would soar. In the case of Steph Curry, what's amazing about him is that you could see guys open 15 feet away from the basket, and Steph Curry got a slither of room 25 feet away from the basket. And instinctually, they know to give him the damn ball because he is so phenomenal. They actually get joy from watching the show, the sniper-like tendencies that he puts on display. They actually enjoy it. He makes everyone into a passer. He does that, unlike anybody that I've ever seen. So I'm saying there's a different level of selflessness that he generates. And because of that, with the coaching and with the savant kind of mentality that Draymond Green has on the basketball court, a Wiseman who's a legit 7-1 as a rim protector, able to help him, a Wiggins who can ball, not shoot threes, Max, but he's a 20-point per game plus scorer from the field, shooting about 45% from the field. Kelly Oubre, his athleticism, his length, he can shoot 35% from three-point range, plus he can put up buckets 15 to 20 a night. I'm saying don't sleep on the Warriors. They will be in the playoffs, and Steph Curry in the playoffs throws everything off. I can't dismiss it.
I'm sleeping and I'm dismissing it. Stephen A., very good and excellent, I think, an excellent illuminating and subtle distinction you made. But again, the argument fails because, no, they cannot. I'm saying they don't have the ability to get to the finals with this little shooting. Because the bottom line is, Ben Dietrich pointed it out on Twitter the other day. One of the things Daryl Morey's doing in Philly is, like Seth Curry and Dwight Howard. And at first it does a Danny Green. And at first it doesn't look like, what do these players have in common? You know what they have in common? They're all very efficient scorers. Mm-hmm. Some from three, some from the paint, but they're efficient scorers. That is not what Golden State has. There's more than one way to score efficiently, but Golden State, to me, does not look like an efficient scoring team. So if you're not going to be shooting the three very well, and other teams are counting by threes nowadays, then, boy, you better have efficiency everywhere you look. That's not what I see. I don't see Wiggins as the most efficient scorer or Oubre. These are guys going to getting 30-plus minutes a game. So where does the efficiency come from? They don't have a shot at the finals.
I have a quick statement, and then I'll give it to you in the form of a question. My statement is the other guys are going to have open shots because everybody's worried about where the hell Steph Curry is. That's number one. We know he can have that kind of effect. Number two, just a question. Because, again, we got the Lakers going to the finals. I got the Clippers as a threat. You got Dallas, if I remember correctly, okay, as the number one threat to the Lakers. But I ask you this question, Max Kellerman. Looking at this present Warriors roster, how would you compare that to Denver? Jamal Murray can shoot the three. Jokic can make things happen. But the parts around them were scorers or guys with scoring ability, but not necessarily three-point shooters, and they made it all the way to the conference finals. So I ask you, look at this Warriors roster, look at Denver's roster from last season. Tell me what you see.
Okay. I would say, it's a good point, Portis can shoot. And a lot of the reason people liked Denver was because of the ascension of a third guy who could really score. And he could shoot from the outside.
Porter.
Jokic is a beast.
You said Porter, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It sounded like you said Portis. Yeah. Like if Bobby would say Porter. Okay, go ahead.
I may have. I meant Porter Jr. You know what I meant. Jokic is a beast. He was an MVP caliber point center who could bring the ball up the floor, just abuse dudes like Montrezl Harrell in the paint, and shoot from the outside like Jokic. There's no Jokic on the Warriors. By the way, you put Jokic on the Warriors, we have another conversation, right? Jamal Murray can shoot from the outside. I get it. He can do some of the stuff Steph can do. There ain't no Jokic on the Warriors. And Draymond Green, you're right, he shot 38% because Steph creates extra space from how far away he shoots. Rotations are slower to get over. There's more distance to travel. Then how come right. With Steph and Klay, Dre has shot under 30% from three the last 2 years? You know, they just don't shoot the ball, Stephen. They got to make a move for shooting or they're dead.
That's Dre. My only response to that is I think Wiseman is going to help free Draymond up because he doesn't have to have so many obligations on the defensive end of the floor. Oubre with Andrew Wiggins is going to score from the interior, meaning not the interior, but inside the three-point line more so than the outside. And I think Steph's potency beyond the arc is almost as significant as Jamal Murray and Jokic combined on the offensive end of the floor because he forces your defense to come all the way out to get him, which spreads the floor open for other people.
I'll leave you with this. According to Vegas, since Klay got injured, they now have only the 6th best odds out of the West to win it. But we got more football to talk about because the Cowboys